Hey, crypto YouTubers, this is coinpicker.us with a blatant attempt to get attention to the big question in the cryptocurrency space. Is it a bubble, or is there something bigger at play? And we're going to dive right into that. Before we do it, real quick, subscribe so that you can get my latest predictions, which have thus far, as you can check my videos, been pretty darn accurate. I said that at the relative high point between the 750, 800, 30 billion range, we were going to be heading down. We have. I gave recommendations on how to trade it, which have turned out to be relatively accurate, such as Walton Coin wasn't going to be suffering as much as some others. Ethereum will rebound or hold its own better than Bitcoin, which has turned out to be largely the case, and some other recommendations. A lot, I don't want to recount all of them, but that my estimates lately were also that once we hit the bottom, I thought we would bounce up to around the 600 range and stay range bound more or less. That happens to be what's going on right now. But what I would like everybody to do is go ahead and subscribe to YouTube and then go to coinpicker.us and sign up. For those of you who have signed up, I have been struggling to get the emails out correctly. There have been some issues with that, but I am going to conquer that one way or the other. And everybody will be getting my predictions, my summaries, along with a list of the coins projects that I anticipate to move up in the short term the most. So very valuable information that I'm giving away for free. You just have to sign up on the list. I'm not going to be going into that kind of detail on YouTube. So that's coinpicker.us. But here's what I'm going to talk about today. All right, this could be identified as the blow-off euphoria bubble top. And we're headed down. And these would be dead cat bounces in a manner of speaking. So what happened with the NASDAQ bubble, it happened with bubbles throughout history. The stock market bubble in 1929 topped out at roughly 380 on the Dow Jones. By 1932, so 3 years, almost 3 years, it wasn't quite, the stock market was still at 40. Now within that range, there had been significant rebounds, but it was at 40, so it had dropped 90%. And that's why this is the single most important question in all of cryptocurrency right now. Were we in a bubble, or the other option is there a movement, almost like a political movement? Because the origin of cryptocurrencies was freedom, and still is. Freedom, privacy, removing government restrictions from our money, removing government controls, removing banking controls, insurance companies, legal issues where we have to be entangled in the court system. That is what the gift of crypto, I call it the crypto decentralized space. It's really the decentralized space, but crypto decentralized space. That is the gift and the promise and the value of it. If you don't understand that, or you're not aware of how it started, yes, it's here to make us money, but the drivers of that, if those factors were not in place, this would simply be a trading vehicle. It would 100% be a bubble, done, cooked, down from here. But because I believe there's a bigger role being played with cryptocurrencies as opposed to just an asset for us to make money with, and by gosh, I'm all for making money, I think there's a political movement in place, and that is not quite so easy to kill. And that's really what the powers that be would like to do. So in looking at this chart, the same thing is in play as I have said before. And those of you who are in the Crypto Shark chat room where I present daily know what I've been saying there, that once we were around this area, I said we're going to be heading down. We failed here. We made a nice run right here, a beautiful traded run. I mean, this is why I love the crypto market. Beautiful tradable run, beautiful tradable run, another beautiful tradable run. This was a pretty nice tradable run, but we didn't recapture the territory. So we're, in my opinion, and looking at the analysis that I've been making here, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go to TradingView, which I like quite a lot. And I'm going to look at Ethereum, which is my bellwether. Everybody else looks at Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is great, but Ethereum is my bellwether because Ethereum rolls up into one, both the main currency platforms, because Ethereum definitively is one, with the altcoins, the alt tokens. It represents both. So this is the type of one of the ways I like to look at it. We're trending in the middle zone, meaning I do not expect, with a downward bias, I do not expect a dramatic upswing. We're getting a gentle return to a stability platform, but sellers are still in control. We have crossed below a 9-day or 10-day EMA, and we are trending along with it. So it doesn't look as though it's going to rebound towards it. It looks as though the EMA is going to drift down towards it. This is a day time frame. That means that I'm not expecting any dramatic upswings right now. That could change in a couple of hours, but I said this early this morning in talking to the chat room that I wasn't expecting any major uptrends at all. We're biased to the downside, but we're range bound, and the range I picked was roughly 450 up to 600. So at this point, we're at the top higher end of that range, and I mean, we're not in oversold territory. We're just in a balanced territory. We're definitely sellers are in control, but they're slightly ceding a bit of control. And at this point, we're not attempting a reattack on recent highs. So we're staying in the trending zone. That's exactly what I see with Ethereum. For those of you that are Bitcoin fans, and of course I was originally one, and I still think Bitcoin has got a role to play. Sort of the same, although more of a downward, well, this one actually is excessively far from its 9-day or 10-day, so that could be, the momentum is to capture it. There's a bit more of an upward bias because this is distinctly oversold. There's a bit more of an upward bias for Bitcoin versus Ethereum, which wouldn't be all that surprising. A lot of people are running back to Bitcoin, so there is a bit more of a baked-in demand versus necessarily running back to Ethereum. But the total market has a downward bias that remains in effect. So for those of you that are looking for my thus far fairly accurate overall market prediction, you're not, in my expectation, not going to be losing a lot of money or opportunity by not jumping back in at this point. I think there is a downward bias. Individual coins, which we'll cover a few, will have different charts. One that I am now very high on, and I'm getting involved in for mining, and I recommend everybody else might take a look at it for mining, but one that I'm very high on and I've already invested in is Pearl. And of course it's gone down, but let's take a look at it in a 7-day. And unfortunately, I can't really get the kind of indicators that I like for Pearl because, well, I'm just going to confirm that I can't, make sure I can't. Yeah, I can't get the kind of indicators that would give me a very solid read and I would be able to be reasonably accurate. It looks to me to be range bound with a slight downward bias. That's what it looks like, which is essentially the same thing for the market. Range bound with a slight downward bias. Interestingly, and not good, not positive, it's losing to BTC. It's losing BTC momentum, but a lot of altcoins are in that boat. Let's take a look at some that I'm a big fan of and I'm involved with really quickly. Yeah, NEO is even taking a significant hit. Let's go to a 7-day because at this point, that's how fast things are folding. Definitely range bound. It's got a downward bias as well. Recent failures, yes, downward bias, range bound, although it has very strong support in the Bitcoin sphere. So relative to Bitcoin, it has strong support, which means that I don't expect it to lose that much more to Bitcoin. Although that's possible. It's right at a decision point. But in terms of its dollar value, Bitcoin is susceptible. Although Bitcoin looks like it has a slight upward bias relative, as opposed to Ethereum. And let's take a look at, what other ones would people... Oh, Tron has gotten kind of interesting again. Yeah, not taking too much of a dump. Now, what's interesting about Tron at this point is that it is gaining on Bitcoin, which is nice to see. Gaining on Bitcoin. So that's, I think, because of some of the news that's been coming out about Tron. And it is attempting to establish a base in this area. It does not look like it will succeed. That's what I'm saying. It does not look. We still have a downward trend. So I think Tron is once again biased down more to the downside than to the upside. The news has already passed. So buy the rumor, sell the news is a perfect example of that. But that's where we're at. My opinion is that the fact that 200,000 people signed a petition to continue to trade cryptocurrencies in South Korea, and I think the same thing could happen in the United States if there were a direct onslaught, indicates to me that this is, while it was a bubble at this point, I don't think there's much of a question about it at this point. I think that we have more of a movement showing up, and the bubble and the movement are battling for control. Meaning the bubble, the financial aspect, where everybody knew they were going to take their $1,000 and turn it into $100,000 or $1 million within a week. That phase has somewhat passed. But the people who were committed to it as a movement, I don't think we're going anywhere. I count myself in there. I hope you are too. I want you to be, because it's much bigger than just making money. Making money is great, but imagine if you've got a job and you're making money and you pay 30% in taxes. It's at least that. By the time you tack in state taxes, insurance fees, medical fees, all of that, and government taxes in terms of real estate, etc., you're paying in the neighborhood of 50% of your taxes, sales taxes, etc. Cryptocurrency and the crypto decentralized space portends to remove that burden from you. Can you imagine how much happier you would be, how much easier your life would be if you got a 50% pay raise or a 30%? Let's just say that 30% pay raise. Life would be quite a bit rosier, I would say. Add to that the functionality of removing things like, well, banks as well, where you're restricted from what you can do. Banks, you don't have to worry about whether or not the value of your dollar has dropped 98% from when it was originally created, 1913. And it becomes an entirely different economic playing field that is much more level. And that's what cryptocurrency pretends. So there's a great way to make money trading, and I encourage that, and keep signing up for my indicators for that. Pay attention to my YouTube channel where I go over the bigger picture and what phase we're in. We're still in a downtrending market. Some of the safer ways to make money are mining, staking, buying coins. One we haven't looked at. Let's take a look at Walton. I haven't checked out Walton yet. One that I've been buying. Coins like Walton, Neo, ones that have serious project value from many different angles, including partnerships, including proprietary technology. Okay. Wow, Walton's in a really nice position. It's holding its own. And it's got buyers are in power in Walton. That's beautiful. Buyers are in power. It's got an uptrend. It is over the 9-day or the 10-day, but it doesn't look as though it's retreating back. Walton is a beautiful purchase right now. Beautiful purchase, I think. This is saying that it's in a balanced mode where it's not likely to leap higher, nor is it likely to drop lower. That's exactly the behavior we've been seeing with it. So Walton's still a great purchase, and it's suspended because of its fundamental value of the business opportunity and the partnerships. So that's where we're at on everything today. I am attempting to convince people to treat this as a movement more than just a financial speculating opportunity, which it is. It is. But if you're in it as a movement, it will continue to be a wonderful financial opportunity. If you are not in it as a movement, and everybody abandons it because, oh, I can't make money easily now, guess what? That'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. The bubble will have burst. The game will be largely quiet, and we won't have this glorious, freedom-stoked, red-hot economic success, beautiful future that cryptocurrency pretends. Woo! Getting all worked up. Okay, so it is coinpicker.us. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, please. Sign up for the newsletter or the email blast, and I commit to getting that out to everybody. And we will talk to you tomorrow.